Good evening. We are back for session number 2 tonight. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us again if you joined us earlier, because, for the 8 o'clock hour, if you're Central Time. Whoops.
Thanks for coming again.
Exactly. It's just back and forth, man. We're all over the board. Hey, tonight is Sadie Hawkins' night here at DJNTV, and Brian brought that up, so I got to give him props for that one. We're changing things around a little bit. We had been talking music, and now we're going to be talking gear and some how-to with BSR tonight.
Tech.
Yeah.
Gear tech. I caught most of the Ben show.
Yeah.
He was talking about, he went geeky with it.
He did.
He wasn't true to form, so I was a little disappointed that he didn't just talk about songs that he liked or whatever.
He used some big words in there.
Right. Well, not because, I just wanted him to just unplug for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really wanted for Ben. But Ben brought up songs to tune your system to, and I was watching the room, and I believe it was Jimmy mentioned Alan Parsons' project was a really good, artist to tune your speakers to or your system to.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more, but it's not just Alan Parsons' project. It's anything Alan Parsons produced. He was a producer well before Alan Parsons' project happened. So he's like Joni Mitchell. Help me. That's him. He's the late Holly's stuff. So anything Alan Parsons produced is wonderful to tune your speakers to. Because there's a lot going on. So if I'm listening to studio monitors, I'm listening to Holly's, I'm listening to Joni Mitchell, because I'm hearing things in those songs through good monitors that I've never heard before. Something else I didn't hear him mention was Toto.
Mm-hmm.
That's well-produced stuff. The track Rosanna actually is a very good track to tune a system to, because there's a lot going on and it's well-produced.
Yes.
When I was in Italy with the engineers at FBT, the track that they played over and over and over again was Dire Straits' "So Far Away." And actually, that's a very well-produced album too. The Brothers in Arms album. Anything off of that is probably wonderful. So I just thought I'd throw a couple bonus ones out there for you.
Yeah. That's
He also he mentioned Steely Dan too.
Yes.
A lot of people do PEG. I enjoy doing FM. That's the one I enjoy doing. Reeling in the Years. I don't know what the production is on that one.
I think when he was talking about that specific one, and he mentioned it earlier, is when he was talking about tuning to a specific frequency range. And I think because of the guitar in Reeling in the Years, you're going to be getting the vocal and that range of that lead guitar in Reeling in the. That would be my guess on that one.
Yeah, well, could be.
I don't hear. I don't. As was playing it through my memory and such, I don't remember it having that full range of sound that some of the other songs do. I mean, it's not a bad, but it doesn't.
No, there are a lot of neat ones. There's no like Ben said. There's no wrong. What I like to do is play things where there's a lot going on, or there's something obnoxious happening. So what I mean by that is, if I'm testing a set of speakers to see what they're made of,
yep,
especially like subwoofers, if I don't get distortion and they don't fall apart to Brass Monkey by Beastie Boys, they're a good set of speakers. No, and I'm not even making a joke. I mean, that song, the bass frequency in there is just weird on that specific song. That, yeah, if you can play that and it still sounds okay at a high volume, you got a good system. Because if you don't, it starts distorting and falling apart. You can't really hear things. Separation's not right. So, yeah. But the one I've been enjoying, if I want to physically be one with the music, with the system, and feel it through my entire body, is Bruno Mars 24K Magic. There's something about the way that they recorded that track that's really cool. And there's a lot going on in that track. It's not as intricate as a Joni Mitchell track, of course, or a Toto track, or a Steely Dan track, but it's still a really good one that you can play if you want to have some fun.
Do you see Howie's questionnaire?
Yes, I believe you're right. There was something about that recording that was very special. That was the first CD I ever got.
Yep.
Was Brothers in Arms. And my brother, well, he was my brother. He passed away. Excuse me. He was a guitar player, and he specifically bought that for me for that reason. It's like you got digital media. Here's a full digital disc for you. So I believe you're right, Howie. I'd forgotten about that.
For those of you on Facebook watching us, thank you for joining us, by the way, on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are at tonight. But Howie had asked if So Far Away, the first fully digital produced album. That was the question. Okay, let's jump to tonight's topic, and then we'll be rounding ourselves back to a variety of different things. But we were going to talk about some tech and some how-to.
Sure.
And Brian, what I really want to kind of talk about is you've been doing a lot of work on older speaker cabinets, and I really wanted to kind of dig into that tonight.
Some of them aren't even older; they're just beat up.
Yeah.
Because I'm not covering everything. And you got to give me a mulligan on that one. I'm disabled, so numbers are a little difficult for me to manage. Not only take off is not a problem, store is a problem, and put back on is a problem. So even my newer stuff gets blemished. So I took some ideas from the room, actually, from a discussion that we had 2 weeks ago, a week ago,
whatever it was,
and applied them to, and they worked out pretty well.
So let's kind of go through, for those who weren't with us when we were talking about plastic cabinets and maybe some ways to take some of the scratches out.
Well, I had suggested something like Back to Black or some kind of automotive dressing. Mm-hmm. And Robin and Jimmy both said heat gun. And I thought, yeah, maybe. But I thought, maybe just the dressing would be good enough. On the scratches that I had on my speakers, the dressing was not good enough. So I pulled out the heat gun and got great results. Really, they look a lot better than they did. Well, truth be told, I only did one side to demonstrate it for you guys. I didn't do the whole speaker. But I did a video on it, and it worked out very well. One thing that I would recommend that you do if you're going to use a heat gun on your speakers, if you want to watch that video, is disassemble your speakers. Get all your electronic components out of there, because electricity hates heat.
Especially at that level.
Yeah, if you're really going to heat up your cabinet, you might want to disassemble it. I didn't do it. I was trying to be careful, but I mean, I should have done it.
How long did it take? Now we see the video, and it's I think a 4.5, 5 minute video. How long did it take for you to, once you started the process of heating those areas and kind of smoothing them out, for lack of a better way to describe it?
Well, I pretty much did it in real time on a spot, so you could kind of see how long it took.
Okay.
I didn't want to go through every little spot and do that, but I don't know, probably about 15, 20 seconds per spot. And I did move the gun around a little bit to not, I guess, burn the spot. I wanted to kind of keep it even. But basically, yeah, I was probably about, I don't know, I'm going to guess about 12 seconds before I actually melted the plastic. And then I kind of tried to feather it, and then it just would slowly fade. It didn't take long at all. Mm-hmm. So if you have 1 or 2 scratches, it's a matter of seconds, and the thing's, it's not perfect, but it's better.
Now, when you were doing some automotive detailing and such, was there a special way if the dash had a scratch? How would you handle it in that situation?
Well, most of the time, if we had really bad interior rips or scratches or whatever, we'd have to bring in somebody to actually repair that, with some kind of paint. Sometimes they'd paint it with the vinyl paint. Sometimes they would actually have to go in and do like like on the seats, how like even if you have leather seats, your whole seat usually isn't leather. The sides,
right,
are vinyl. Getting in and out of your vehicle, you get a little rip there, and you can see the webbing.
Yep.
We had guys that would come in and actually repair that. They would put some kind of something, I don't know what the heck it was, with a heat gun, and you couldn't tell. And I've had it done to my vehicles, and it lasts maybe a year or two. After they put the gooey stuff on and make it look like it's supposed to look, they hit it with the vinyl paint. You'd never know. So, I mean, there were some cool tricks that they did with that. I mean, we didn't do a lot of them. We'd bring people in to do them. They would come in on a truck. We had a guy who did dents too. He would come and do all the dent repair. We also had a guy that would come in and do all of the interior repairs. There were two different vendors that would come in. Just like a Monday, they'd come in and say, okay, what cars need to be hit? And we point them out to them. But other times, if there was something that was a little faded, maybe, because you get a lot of that faded dash, there's a product that I still have some of. I bought a case of it before I quit. It's called Dash Vent Magic. And it's in an aerosol can. I don't think you can buy it off the shelf. You can buy it on eBay. I've checked. It looks like spray paint.
Okay.
And it's just a really cool dressing. I've used it on a lot of stuff. On the inner plastic inner fender wells of my car, they get a little faded over time, I guess. Shoot them with those, clean them, shoot them with those, they look brand new. And they look brand new all summer if you let it dry right. So, I mean, there's all kinds of cool tricks. So I guess I was keeping some of that in mind with some of these repairs I was doing.
Yeah. So in this situation with what you were doing with the speaker now, if a person has, some of these roto-molded cases that SKB really came into the industry with, a lot of that, can some of those be treated that way too, or is that thinner plastic?
I'm sure they can. I mean, it's just, it's a tool like anything else. You have to be careful with it. You don't want to go on it and just apply just tons of heat right away. Do a test spot, see how it works. If it works out well, do more. And then you're going to kind of get the feel of how much heat to apply, how close to get the gun, how long to keep it on a spot. My recommendation would be to try the bottom of anything before you're going to mess with it. So the bottom, people aren't going to see so much. So if you're looking at doing a cabinet or a speaker or whatever, or a rack, and you're thinking, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not, try an area that no one's going to see first and practice and see what works best in that area. And once you sort that out, you can move on to the rest of the cabinet.
Let's move to wooden cabinets, because I saw that, I think today is when it finally popped up in my feed that you were working with some wooden cabinets with a...
I did that today.
Yeah. And I was seeing some of the comments and such, and people were suggesting different products and such. For those who didn't get a chance to watch the video, kind of give us a little synopsis of that, please.
It's something that I've done for a long time, and I just did it. I didn't think about it. Turns out a lot of people did it, and I found this out through social media over time. But basically, if I get a scratch on if I got a black cabinet and I get a scratch or a nick on it, that really stands out because wood is typically kind of a beige color, so you really see it. So I've just taken a black Sharpie, little magic marker. Oh, here it is. Got one right here. One of these right here, and just this is going to show up a lot less than blonde wood is going to show up under a scratch.
For sure.
So it helps hide it. I mean, is it perfect? No. But what I like about this solution is you can put this in your computer bag or whatever, and I do. If there is a scratch on something as I'm loading in or out, and it's obnoxious and it's pissing me off, all I got to do is, and it's all gone. It's road gear. I mean, we're not talking about show cars or our living room furniture. We're talking about stuff that we're throwing it out of our trucks, loading it out of places. It's built for the road. Things are going to happen to this stuff.
Right.
So a little something like this helps. And I'm sure there are better solutions. Some people said shoe polish. Some people said furniture markers. Some people are going as far as to taking their speaker into Home Depot and having them do a black color match on it. And then do that with touch-up paint. But this is just easy.
It is. The of all the things that were mentioned, mascara and there are all sorts of things thrown on. The furniture stain. Basically, they have markers that are stain for woodwork that is damaged, and they do have that in black, and that's a great option. But when I've used that, I've ended up having to get there's some grays and blacks, and it seems that it's easier to start with that darker gray, which is. Some of them, there's gray, and there's some that have a little red and such. I went with a straight gray, and then to add a little bit of black as you're going to try to get it so you get that color match. That's why people were talking about matching colors at Home Depot, is because black isn't black.
Right.
And that gets to be really difficult when a person's doing it. TJ asked about basically clear coating a box. Have you ever played with any kind of a clear coat like that?
No. I really, the stuff that I have, it's not forever stuff. Nothing is forever stuff. Not anymore. So, you know, I need stuff to last a few years.
Yeah.
That's what I need. And after a few years, it's going to get replaced.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is just the business I'm in. I'm not going to hold on to stuff for 10 years.
And that,
So all I need the stuff to do is look decent for the amount of time that I have it. I'm not going to go crazy with anything. Not anymore. Back in the old days, yeah, maybe when I was on a budget and I was buying used stuff. But no, I've never done clears. I remember I used to have carpeted cabinets. Remember those?
mm-hmm.
Carpeted speaker cabinets.
Oh, yes.
And the way that something about my truck I had an old Dodge Dakota, and where my cap met my bed,
Yep.
there was a lip, and it would rub,
slice through that carpeting.
Slice through the carpeting and rub into the wood. You had that happen too.
Oh yes, I've got a half a dozen bag ends that are ripped like that.
Okay, so that's when I first started doing this. I'm like, well, that looks terrible. At least if I put a little marker in there, it'll look a little better. And it sure did. It sure helped.
And then you could kind of smooth the carpeting back down enough so at the event it looked okay. And then you throw it back in the truck, and at the next show, we had to touch it up again. It was that way. And then I made the mistake on a couple of occasions. It's like, this cabinet could use some new carpeting. Right. I think I'm going to redo it.
Well, you're a bigger man than I am.
That was such a mistake.
Yeah.
If you do have carpeted speakers, and maybe if you could recarpet them, I didn't get the job finished. I literally started peeling it off and getting the stuff off, and it wasn't coming off cleanly. And I have a brother-in-law who does woodwork, and he has all sorts of solvents for taking stains and varnishes off. I took the cabinet up to him, took the components out, took the cabinet to him, and he soaked it in a solvent of some sort that basically peeled off everything. An easy strip, basically, in today's world, and it came off cleanly, and then he recarpeted, and it looked fabulous. But I wasn't, I was thinking, it's probably like wallpaper, get a little wet, and then you get the blade under it. Nope.
I had to have some carpet peel up on me one time, and I did use some of that spray adhesive.
Oh, yeah. That's fabulous stuff in the right applications.
Yeah, it was gross and sticky, but it I mean, whatever. It's the stuff, you use it and then you're done with it and you move on to something else. That's how I do it anyway. Yeah. Kind of like most people do cars. I don't do that. I marry cars. I'm the one who's doing the car stuff. I'm keeping the cars forever. The subwoofer, it's here for 3 or 4 years and then it's over.
And then it's gone. Yep.
We have a new subwoofer. Somebody else in Milwaukee has a lovely subwoofer that I used to own, with scratches on it and some marker repairs on it. Where I have the brand new pretty one that I can scratch up.
Yep, for the next time. Let's see. We had a couple of. Blake was asking. You had a mixer that. I want to try to find that again. And they've been talking about makes a crackling sound through the outputs when he's pressing buttons on the mixer.
Yeah, sounds like it's time to get a new mixer.
Yeah, there's a couple of different things. Some people mentioned that it could be dirty and a loose connection.
Well, of course, something is, but what? How many buttons are on the mixer?
Precisely, that gets to be it. You can take it apart, and I know someone like Howie or Ben, who have that ability and time to take it apart and know what they're doing, because those guys could take it apart and 20 minutes later they're done. I take it apart. 4 hours later, I have lots of parts.
My father. I love my dad. My dad, I don't know why, last fall, he handed me this gas-powered weed whacker. I probably told you this.
Yep, you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah. Some button on it that, the repair shop said it would cost more to fix it than it would to buy a new one, but I don't like that, so you fix it for me. What? I have nothing else to do. Okay. Thing's still sitting there. Sometimes you're just better off just buying a new one. Really.
Yeah,
you are. Let it be someone else's problem. Hey, sell somebody else. Hey, here, all you got to do is clean it. I'll give it to you for this price. Let it be somebody else's problem. Buy yourself a new one. It's not like the old days where, the stuff was super expensive and you could get repairs done for a lot less than you could replace. But today, the way this stuff's coming in from Taiwan and China and everything else, or Malaysia, whoever's making your stuff, man, just replace it. If it's giving you issues, replace it. This is your livelihood when you're out gigging. Anything gives you a problem, don't use it anymore.
Blake, one thing, I had a similar situation where I was getting weird anomaly noises coming across the Denon. I've got multiple Denon 6000s, and one of them was giving me some weird things like that, and I could not track it down and could not track it down. Turns out it was a mic channel, and that mic channel was being, for some reason, I don't know if it was shorting into the board, but I was getting weird anomalies when I was touching a variety of different things. But it was making the sound. It almost sounded like I was picking up something over a wireless signal, but it wasn't that. Just was doing crazy things. So I talked to the guys at Denon, and officially the guys at Denon told me, "Great, send it in, and we'll make you connected with our repair department." That was the official. Talked to one of the Denon guys afterwards, and he goes, "It's not worth it.
Yeah,
it's just not worth it." He goes, "The Denon 6000 is a great board. How long have you used it?" "Well, I had it for 4 years." He goes, "You've gotten your money out of it. Go buy a new one. You're going to be much happier with a new one compared to repairing an older one, because the new technology is so much better." And I can't argue with that. I mean, the MK2 that I have of the 6000 is a fabulous board. And what is it, $400 or $500 or whatever it was? Because I got my use out of the other one. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, it's a sad state but this is true. This is what it is. Sometimes you just need to replace it. I mean, unless you specifically know what's wrong with it, and you asked, "Hey, it's making this noise. What should I do?" If it's not a loose connection in the back that you could easily fix, it's a button somewhere, get it out of there.
yeah.
It's loose connection. If you're handy with solder and you know how to order parts over the internet, and you just need a new phono connector or RCA or XLR or whatever, fine. But I mean, I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah. I think actually we if you don't have a microphone plugged into that channel, the microphone, it doesn't make the noise. So my 14-year-old actually took that into the house, and now he's using it as a practice controller.
Now, day and night DJs said that there are some cleaners designed specifically for electronics, and sometimes you can get lucky. In the old days, when I had analog stuff, I remember having electrical contact cleaner, and I would shoot it into the knob mechanism or the lever mechanism or whatever, and it helped get rid of some of the pops. That is true. But today, man, I mean, we're talking about on an old mixing board. How many levers were on your first mixing board? I mean,
you had
not that many.
You had 4 sliders. You had the crossfader. This is an old PV. You had your main volume. You had your 3-band EQ. I don't believe they had a gain at the top. I think it was just the slider. There just wasn't a ton.
I'm sitting in front of a Pioneer DJM 750, and I've had this DJM 750 sitting in front of me for, I think, 3 years now in this desk. I can guarantee you half of the buttons and knobs in this thing I've never touched. Unless I was clean.
Yeah.
But to use it for something specific, let's see, crush. I've never used the crush button or the noise button or the jet button. Well, maybe I used the jet button. I've never used the fader start. I mean, there's so much stuff packed in these mixers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what it's going to be. So many parts. Replace. That's our fix-it show. Throw it away.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. Yeah, you fix the cosmetic, and if it's really bad, you throw it away and start over again.
Can we fix it? No, we can't. Throw it away and buy a new one.
That's brought to you by our sponsors, Speakers and Lighting.
Yes, ADJ, brand new,
right there. Go on, buy new.
That is brilliant. I am so sorry, but yeah, that's the reality of that kind of stuff.
And it really is. I mean, and it becomes a time thing, and I've talked about this in other shows, is that figuring out where what is the best use of my time is going and taking a mixer apart and maybe fixing it, maybe just, and if I had the time, an hour to do that, great. But if I rip it apart, play with it for 2 or 3 hours, and I don't fix it, now I've invested 2 or 3 hours, and I still have to either send it in or replace it.
That starts meaning something when you have a gig that you do. Like me, I'm doing videos, I'm answering questions, I'm writing for the Shocking News. That's when the time thing comes in, because it's like if I take 2 hours to do one thing, I'm behind.
Yes.
Just I'm always behind, and that's the unit of time I'll never get back, and I needed it.
William asks, is it worth fixing if you don't use it at gigs and use it at home? If it would be a hobby, if you enjoy fixing things, like my 16-year-old, he enjoys ripping electronics apart, seeing how they work, and putting it back together. It's a hobby for him. Yay, rah, rah. That's what he does. In my situation, electronic repair, car repair, even lawnmower repair, which I enjoy going and getting involved like that. That's not a hobby for me. I enjoy doing more, fixing things around the house, because I know I can accomplish those things, and usually those things can be done within a period of time, and I know before I start that I'm going to be able to succeed. Whereas a piece of electronics, it's like, really not completely sure. I think it's this. I don't know. When I get in there, I find out that, I can't fix it. That's unacceptable use of my time. So I would rather either pay someone to do it or not do it, replace it and be done with it. That way I know it's done and dealt with.
So let's talk about stuff that we can improve and we can repair or something instead of just throwing things away.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that for a while.
Well, the one repair I have done on speakers is the replacement of cones, and even going as far as replacing of the voice coil on a tweeter. Have you taken a tweeter apart and played with that?
Yeah, I've done it. I've replaced tweeters.
Yeah,
I replaced horn drivers, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a much more elaborate job or process, but it's really not that difficult to take those apart and replace that. I actually did a video replacing the little voice coil on some Yamaha cabinets, and I expected it to be much more difficult than it really was.
The hardest part is matching up the right part.
Yeah,
that's the hardest part. Finding a part that's compatible and it's not going to blow anything up.
Mm-hmm.
Right, impedance, all that stuff. I had one of my most popular videos I ever did. I hot rodded a set of JBL JRX 115s with some selenium horn drivers. It's, I think, my number 3 most popular video of all time. And it was a piece of nothing to do. Mm-hmm. The hardest part was to figure out if that was going to be compatible with those speakers. That wasn't going to screw anything up.
No.
As far as impedance goes and power consumption and all that. And it was a nice upgrade.
Mm-hmm. Back when we ran the medium base screw-in bulbs, those types of floods that are using the 150 watt, invariably when you were out on the road, either the wiring would break off the back of the little socket, because you had the ceramic socket, and the wiring would come off, or there would the little wire nut that was in there would let loose. So there was something would happen. Lights wouldn't work because of a wiring issue. And that was one of the few repairs actually on lighting that I ended up doing, and I did it an awful lot. It seemed like at that time, the jostling of those in the road, I was not breaking bulbs, but I was having issues with those little ceramic sockets coming loose. So you learned how to fix those things, and sometimes it meant you're putting a whole new rivet in to get things to work and work properly. As I look at my lighting today with the LED lights and the moving head fixtures and the different things, I don't even know where a person would begin, because for a video we're going to be doing on a wireless or a LED light, we took it apart to find out what was wrong with it, and it's basically a computer in there.
Either something's unplugged or it's not.
Yeah, it's
and that's happened before. It's like it's not working. I take it apart, and there's like a data connecting cable that's for some reason disconnected in shipping or whatever, and it works. Aside from that, no, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just
can't fix it.
No, it's not. A lot of that is just not fixable in this day and age. They are.
Let me tell you what I can fix. I can fix this table. Not that there was anything wrong with it in the first place.
And there's the segue.
But I can make it better. I can make the table better.
So, Brian, tell us about the table behind you there.
No, I'm serious about this.
No, I wanted to talk about that.
Table's my focus right now, and I think everyone thinks I'm insane, but I'm not. And here's why. Because when I saw this thing at NAMM, I was like, yeah, that's cool. And a lot of people were like, I don't know. I just don't know. It's a little this or it's not that or whatever. Okay, you got to remember who you're talking to here. You're talking to a guy who builds his own vehicles. You're talking to a guy who bought a shack with a hole in the roof and made a home out of it. I can see things. I can see past the things that I don't like, and I can see the cool little improvements I can make to it to make it better for me and make it cool. So this table here, if you've seen the video on it, if you haven't seen the video on it, have a look.
Yep.
But basically it's like, I don't know, I think it's like 379 map on this table. And some of the first critiques that came in were, you know what, that's a cheap ripoff of Brand X. So I looked up Brand X just out of curiosity. Brand X costs $1,800. I'm like, all right. So this table is $1,400 less than Brand X. What could I do to this table for $1,400 to make it just as nice as Brand X? And the biggest complaint on it was, oh, you can see through, you can't hide stuff under it anymore. Well, Brand X has a nice thing on it, a nice plexiglass thing on it. Well, plexiglass is heavy and expensive. So Home Depot, corrugated plastic, obviously it's translucent if you put a bright enough LED behind it.
Yeah.
Cut it to size, zip ties. Not, what am I saying, $21. I bought the shorter piece. I've got $17 invested in this. I'm still under $400. And I got a cool table.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if I put another 300 in it, what I would have? And this is just the kind of thinking that I feel like DJs should have. We are supposed to be creative people. We're supposed to hear a track and say, it's got some potential. You know what? Maybe if I remixed it, maybe if I added some bass to it, or maybe if I bumped up BPM a little bit. I mean, that's who we are. This is the same thing. It's just a different application where you look at it and you can see past the shortcomings. Look, I could go out and buy an $1,800 table. You could go out and buy an $1,800 table. Everybody in this chat room can buy an $1,800 table. And guess what? We've all got that same $1,800 table. And then nobody wants the $1,800 table anymore. Kind of like the cluster lasers, the Galaxian lasers. Oh, the dots. I don't want the dots anymore. Remember when everybody wanted the dots?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Now no one wants the dots because everybody has it. Well, how about taking something like this and making it your own with a little bit of creativity? I want to put a TV on this thing. Easy. And it's not going to cost me much. There's just some fun stuff that I think you could do with something like this. People look at it and they say things like, yeah, but I don't like the ADJ logo. Then take it off.
Yeah, precisely.
It's 4 thumb screws. Flip it around. You could take it off completely and we just have a glow facade.
See, when you were talking about that area and the TV, I thought, what a fabulous area too. And they were just mentioning it in the chat room, is to put the couple's monogram there. And especially if you saw the video that Howie did, that Jimmy created a monogram, but it was a motion video that he did on a tent, and it was fireworks and everything. How fabulous would that be to have there? And it would be just that, wow, that's pretty cool. And
if you look at those new Samsung TVs, and I don't know, maybe other people do it too, but I was going to Sam's Club. And Sam's Club has these, they're only like the 60 hertz refresh rate, so they're not the 120. They're not great. But I'm looking at a 32-inch TV for well under $200. That is 8 pounds. And it has a USB port in it to play slideshows and video.
Yes.
So all you have to do is have somebody like Jimmy, or you could do it yourself. You could make that monogram, that animated monogram, or you could make that slideshow of the couple, or whatever you wanted to do. You put it on that flash drive, you pop it in that TV, you mount it, turn the TV on, activate the slideshow or the animation or whatever you want to do, and leave it. And that plays all night long. You don't have to do anything else with it. That's cool. And you can do that so inexpensive with something like this. It's like a sign.
Yeah, very much so.
That's all it is. It's, Remember the message board signs? How people were going crazy over those back in the 80s or whatever?
Yeah, I bought 2 of those.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Now you can just do it on your TV, man. On this little TV for nothing.
And for those of you who didn't experience that, a lot of you have, but there's going to be a few. They were these this is Sam's when they first started. They came out and they had these message board signs. This would have been, I don't goodness, right shortly after we started, and we bought these and we programmed them to do the scrolling text of our company name and different things on that. And I spent hours programming each and every one to do this, and then I sent them with all the DJs because all of my staff had these up there. And
Merry Christmas.
Yep, congratulations, bride and groom, whatever their names were, because we actually use the names. And they were out there, and they would scroll through these things, and I thought this was the coolest thing ever. And about 6 months after we started using them, other people were starting to, and then we started getting people at the wedding shows and different things saying, yeah, we love, we want that, but gosh, I don't want to have any kind of moving signage. We were getting
that was tacky.
Yeah, that was but then again, this is back in the day where you would have the big, the Pepsi banner that the Pepsi company made that had your DJ company logo on it. That was a big thing in our area yet, and so it was like, oh, this is technology. Yeah. That was the beginning of the end. After, I don't even know after that. I think we went from those digital signs that we just went no signage whatsoever. We're like, well, if they don't want to see our name, maybe that's not such a good idea.
Right.
And then we didn't do that.
Well, I was going to demonstrate it with the graphic that Jimmy made for me of my logo, my BSR logo.
Yeah.
That's how I was going to demo the thing.
Nice.
But yeah, you can do animations, absolutely. Animated, what do I want to say, monograms or anything. As creative as you can get, or as creative as you can have someone get for you, like Jimmy, because I just have Jimmy do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to do it. You can do some neat stuff for real, for not a lot of dough. I mean, alternately, of course, you can run music video through it or whatever you want to do. But I was just thinking as a cool sign.
Yeah, precisely. I don't, and I've seen some that have the booth where they do the big screen and video, and I always get, it's like, well, that's neat and all, but unless, say, if I had that and maybe 2 other TVs that were up higher, but once people are dancing in front of your booth, because that's where they always dance, is like right there, and as a DJ, there's times where it's like, this is super uncomfortable. There's a whole dance floor that's open. There's like 3 of you, and you're dancing right here within inches of my booth. Back up.
Yeah. Well, someone had made that objection today, and I was thinking to myself, what about during dinner? I don't really care if people aren't seeing a slideshow while they're dancing, but it's something to look at during dinner when no one's right up on your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I said, it's not particular. It could be the answer for playing music video. Absolutely. But I don't think that's not what I have in mind for it. I even thought, and I know there's a way to do this and it's really easy and I just don't know how to do it. I thought a message board like that would be really hot to use as like a countdown. Like if you had some kind of message on there that said, like, okay, this is happening right now. Cocktail hour, dinner starts, and it's like a countdown clock, in 39 minutes and 28 seconds, whatever, counting down to dinner or counting down to the first dance or whatever thing is going to happen right on time, or even coming up next, father and daughter. So if everybody's dancing and having a good time, you just put on the board, up next, father-daughter dance, or father-daughter dance in 2 songs, or even something as simple as that would be a really cool thing to do. I'm sure you could do it with like an iPad or something somehow connected to your television.
Oh, yeah.
But that would be a really neat application for a TV. I don't think it's always about music video,
For sure. I think there's a lot of cool things that, and especially when I'm hearing from the brides that I'm talking to, the idea of having music videos at their wedding is like turning more brides off than, 5 years ago. It was like maybe 5 and 10. They were like, oh, that's so cool. That'll be great. Nowadays, they're like, yeah, no, I'm over that. I want the experience of my friends interacting with each other and my family interacting with us, and I want to be all doing this on a dance floor. It's like, well, I guess we've made kind of a corner.
I wrote, you haven't read my article yet. I wrote an article, and I'm going off the can we fix it topic, but this is good. So, you ever heard the well, I know you have Shakespearean phrase, all the rules of stage.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard this.
Of course.
Okay. Well, this is basically my article. I was driving home thinking about my gig. And I was thinking to myself, wow, all the world's a stage, you know? But that's not really exactly what I was thinking. I'll let you know exactly what I was thinking here in a second. But I was thinking about everybody who was the player that night, everyone who was the entertainment for the evening. The pastor was hilarious. I called him Pastor Bro because he was just like, hey, man, Jesus loves you, you know? He was really cool. I liked him. And he did the prayer, right? And then after prayer, after everybody said amen, he like monologued for a few minutes. And it was good. I mean, he was good. We had both fathers speak, so not just one but two. Best man, maid of honor, the groom spoke. During the first dance, 3/4 of the way through the song, we had a vocalist kick in with the microphone.
Wow.
People were making dedications to each other. There was an anniversary dance. You know, I got to thinking, you know, wow, what was my role here? I was not the entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I was facilitating the entertainment. So, you know, even the dancers, they were dancing. They were performing that night.
Yeah.
They went on the dance floor and they performed. What did I do? I told people where to go, what to do, gave them a microphone, played the requests. So the phrase I was actually thinking about was a joke in high school that the theater people used to throw around. And that was, if all the world's a stage, who's running the lights? That was the big joke. And I got to thinking last weekend, I'm running the lights. I'm the one who's not on the stage for this moment in time. It's everybody else but me.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I'm hired as the entertainment, and I'm not really entertaining anybody.
Right.
I'm only directing it. I don't know why that was relevant to what we were talking about, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
Well, let's see. How can we tie that in?
Well, we started somewhere and it made sense. You said something, and I was like, aha. But I have the, thing.
No, I like that, and we've talked about this, about the idea of our roles as a director at the event, and that's, when you, carrying that back when you were mentioning the idea of having the text and such for the upcoming events and different things. I wonder if things such as that, because I've seen people hand out printed itineraries at a wedding, that this is what's going to happen and these are the times, and I wonder if some of the things like that take away from the focus. And I think even maybe this is kind of where Tori wants to be with her events, wants to be more elegant. And if she's got, flashing video screens here and this and that and the other thing, is that the focus isn't going to be as directable, and it's not going to be as uniform, meaning that all the guests are paying attention to the same thing. If I've got screens here, I've got the bride and groom up there, I've got this, that, and the other thing, I've got too many things to stimulate the audience, and I can't get their focus all in the same spot, because if I get on a microphone and I have lights shining on me so I'm illuminated a little bit, they're most going to look at me. If I have my video screens, they might look at me. They might be watching the fireworks of the bride and groom's name on my screens. Whatever. There's just more distractions. So
it's odd. Tori says, I'm reading here, she's talking about TVs at weddings not elegant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking issue with that, and I'll tell you why. Because the whole concept of elegance is completely lost in every event that I do. And it ain't me. I show up and my stuff's looking all right. Everything's casual. People don't want elegance anymore. They want casual, at least in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I was probably in the Hamptons, they may want elegant. If I were in, I don't know, perhaps in Europe somewhere, they may want that in some of the more highbrow places. But for the most part, people are casual. They're not looking for this elegance. The tradition is gone on so many things. People are making their own rules on this stuff. Tradition, it's supposed to be that the best man gives a toast, then the pastor says a prayer, and then you eat. That's tradition. Mm-hmm. All right? There is no tradition where the maid of honor makes a toast. And there is no tradition where A lot of these things are happening that people want now. There is no tradition that a DJ shows up at a ceremony. How elegant can that possibly be?
Yeah.
You want elegant at a ceremony? You know what you do? You bring in a string quartet. You want elegant at a wedding reception? You know what you do? You bring in a freaking orchestra. You hired a DJ. You didn't hire the Philharmonic. So how elegant can this possibly be? It's got to look nice.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want tacky now. Now, I understand tacky. I understand gaudy. But to use the word elegant or not elegant to describe something like a monitor is I feel like a little misguided. I feel like that it's getting overthought.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what my cue is. I'll tell you what my cue is with anything I have. Be it a light, be it a speaker, be it anything I have. My cue is, what does Blanca think of it? Because she's a girl.
Yeah.
And she's not in the business. If she were in the business, she'd be a peer, would be like whatever, but she's not. She wants nothing to do with what I do. Okay. Lori's in the business. Blanca's not in the business. You were here,
Yep.
She wants nothing to do with it. It's like asking my neighbor, what do you think? If she likes it, I know I got a winner. I know it's good. Jay Brennan does the same thing. Whenever he talks about something he wants to do or a product he wants to use or a purchase he wants to make or whatever, he asks his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes she'll say, I hate that. And if she doesn't like it, he doesn't do it. He doesn't use it. If she says, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And he might say, that really? Oh my gosh, yeah, that's great. He knows that a lot of women out there, brides maybe, may feel the same way.
Yeah.
Because women kind of think alike that way.
And sometimes, as you say, our maleness as guys, that's the greatest idea ever. If I could have 75 strobe lights around this dance floor, I'm sure every bride would love it.
It would be great. Like this table back here, Blanca really likes this table. I didn't think she would, but she does. Not only does she like it from an aesthetic point of view, but she also likes it because she's helping me load gear these days.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't like doing the scrim table. That's a pain in the butt, or even carrying that stuff. And it's cumbersome. It's a pain in the butt. But she thinks it looks cool, and she likes the portability of it. So I may incorporate it. Normally I wouldn't incorporate something like that for myself because I like to keep it more simple. But that's actually pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty lightweight and easy to set. And it solves a lot of problems because you're not scrimming anything. The table height's right. Tons of stuff.
Mm-hmm. What is do you know what the table height is? I was going to ask about that.
36 inches.
Oh, that is it. That's right there.
Yeah, so it's 4x4 basically, roughly 4x4, and so you've got an extra foot coming up off the top of the table as far as like a surround facade would go for you. Now the side, it's 24 inches deep as well, so it's just as deep as a 6-foot banquet table would be. So a lot of the 4 feet tables, you're only looking at 18 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my problem with going, I don't need the width, I need the depth.
Yeah, for sure, because it stinks when your controller is right to the edge of the table and it's like at the back edge of the table.
So you try to downsize, I'll go 4 foot, you buy a 4-foot banquet, and you're like, what the hell? This thing's only 18 inches deep. Why don't they make one that's 24?
Mm-hmm.
There's a 24. And it's got a built-in facade if you do it right. So yeah, I'm really excited about the table. And I'm going to keep talking about it until people tell me to stop talking about the table.
Oh, funny.
I'm sure I told you this before, but I remember one time I was working for this DJ company. We went into this bar and we didn't care if we kept the account or not. And he said, play David Lee Roth songs until they tell you to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. And it took an hour and a half.
So
Somebody finally came up and said, you got anything other than David Lee Roth? Sure. And I played something else. We did the same thing with the table.
an hour and a half. I would think about the third one. I'd be like, dude, hello.
So yeah, there's all kinds of things, that people are asking about. Can I clamp things to it? You got 1 1/4 inch pipe, so it's kind of an oddball size. You're going to need a 1 1/4 inch clamp to clamp anything onto that pipe. People are asking about building facades for the sides as well, the panels. Yeah, you can. I just didn't do it. People are concerned, oh, it's not deep enough. If your 6-foot table is deep enough, this is going to be deep.
24 inches, that's standard.
24 inches is 24 inches. 24 inches is not standard for a 4-foot table, but it's standard for a 6-foot table, and you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, I figure the way I see it, I got $1,800 to work with. From that one comment.
Yeah.
I got $1,800. How cool can I make that for $1,800? How cool can I make that for $300? So I don't know.
But then, I could see the laptop stand, having a laptop stand, a clamp to it, and then you could bring it over, kind of like you have on your workbench, where you can move it around a little bit. There are times where I want that laptop in a different position for whatever reason. But beyond that, I can't see. I mean, I know there was a Global Trust that came out with a prototype a few years ago where they had the speakers incorporated, where the speaker stands were incorporated in the booth.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of that. I want to have those speakers just a little farther away, because you know what? That's just me.
Me too. Me too.
But yet I see some guys who have their systems and they're just, even though they have a full room, they're like speaker, table, speaker. Some like it that way. So I mean, to each their own, I guess. But I just like that kind of clean look, where I can look, I can see, and the front of it's not too terribly high, because it isn't that barrier as much between me and the audience, and that's a huge thing. Unless of course it's those 3 people who are dancing right in front at an uncomfortably early time of the dance. Then I want that wall, maybe that push button wall that comes.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Be like the Tim Allen neighbor there that's looking over the fence. That's me.
Right. Now you could easily, like, I got a piece here. I don't know where it is. Here it is. So I got this piece of board left over from the cut. I mean, you could take something like this even, if you wanted to, and just do that.
I was wondering about that, if a person would drop something in just to hide cables a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, this stuff is not hard. You just do it.
And really, even as you were looking at it right here, I mean, that looks like it's meant to be there.
Of course it does. I built it. You're supposed to, there you go. You're supposed to come out your nose when I said that.
I was just amazed by the modesty that just came flowing through there. I built it. What do you expect?
What do you duh? But no, I mean, yeah, that's the kind of stuff you can do. You can attach that, absolutely. You know what I always thought would be really cool, and this is kind of almost like that. Remember we talked about the clopper a couple weeks ago?
Yep.
Last week was a club topper. Also the performance, but it hit the cables. So it was, I think we talked about maybe 8 inches. 4 inches of that would be solid, and 4 inches of that would be plexi.
Yeah, there you are.
It's the same thing. It's the same concept. You can still see the performance, but you can't see the cables. So it's just a matter of having a knife and some corrugated board and a little bit of creativity, and you can make all kinds of neat stuff. And the ADJ can go away. You can flip it around. You can completely remove it if you want to, or you could do something with a logo in there.
Yeah.
Like if somebody didn't like, a TV or whatever, yeah, why don't you go ahead and get some kind of easily printed material and print the client's monogram on there.
Yeah.
And stick it there for the night. You can swap it out. All kinds of neat stuff you can do.
Definitely ideas.
So the TV monitor would be the easy way to do it. But if you wanted to go with something a little less, I don't know, consumer electronics, I guess you could do something like that. It would be nice too. So that's a lot of options. I remember the one video I did. It was an event I did. It was a wedding, whatever. And I did uplighting there. and I just gotten one of the new icon profile lights in,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to just get video of it at a gig, you know. So I put the gobo in there of the wedding bands intertwined. It kind of made a heart, just a stock gobo, and I lit it up, and I didn't think anybody would pay it attention. Like it's just this thing, you know. They went crazy over it. They thought it was like so cool, and the photographer was getting pictures of the bride and groom in front of this gobo of this wedding band and wedding bands intertwined into a heart. A simple image like that for weddings, maybe on a sign like that, could be cool. You don't have to go completely custom all the time. Again, it's not what we think. It's what somebody else thinks. They think, you know? And then that was a lesson in that. That day was a lesson. I thought nothing of it except I'm going to show how bright it is, and they loved it. So I always thought that was kind of a throwaway gobo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, the Happy New Year's are useful and the Happy Halloweens are useful, but the wedding ones, like, but no, they really did like it. Yep. Run it by a lady first.
That's the best way to do it.
And not a lady, not Robin. Don't run it by Robin. She's a lady, but she doesn't count here. You got to find somebody who's not in the business.
She's been in the business too long. Yes, Robin, unfortunately, you become just as jaded as the rest
You're
of us.
You're just a dude now.
Yeah.
As far as we're concerned,
your taste is just as bad as us. Okay, not that bad.
Jaded and terrible as we are.
She likes gear as much as,
That's probably more.
More so, yeah.
I'm talking about building a monitor mount for this, and she's telling me, you know, what gauge of steel I should use and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know, this is not the person we need to be asking. What do you think of this? No, she doesn't qualify anymore.
Brian's like, but I could do it with popsicle sticks and gauges of steel. What are you talking about?
Right. No, it's easily. You can bend it easy. Like, don't be a wimp. Just bend the steel. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's who I'm going to ask. You know, what do you think? Is it pretty?
Oh, very good. Well, gang, we're going to wrap things up and let you guys head on back to the ranch. Brian, thank you much for chatting tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you guys for being with us on Facebook or YouTube. What are you going to do? One of the topics we've got. I want you guys to think about that. Those of you who are going to DJ Expo, we are trying to figure out what we're going to do on Monday night of DJ Expo. So we've thrown a couple of ideas out, but I want to kind of come up to a conclusion of what we will do. We want to have a get together of some sort at DJ Expo.
A thing.
Oh yeah. We've got to we're going to have to work around a couple of events. We have to make sure ADJ is not having an event, because if so, we need to attend. But
that Monday's usually when they do have something. It's on a Monday.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure out what they're doing, because again, we'll all be at the Tropicana, so that if they do, it's there, and then we could go after or whatever. So if you've got something that you'd like to do or see. What we've done in the past, we've gotten suites at hotels and basically had kind of a hospitality suite, and we could do something like that, or we can go for funnel cakes, as Ben still wants to do.
Two things, and part of this is my ADD. Number one, I love outdoor events, especially it's August, it's the ocean.
Yeah,
I love outdoor events. Two, I'm finding it humorous that there's people in this room figuring out who each other are because they're using different screen names.
There is that.
So Power Jams is Jimmy J. Rock Reed, and Fly Robin is Robin Wilson, and they just figured out who each other were, and it's hilarious. So I'm having fun with that. It's just funny to me.
Yeah, that's the negative part about YouTube, and when Facebook forced everyone to use their real names or fairly real names, and now
real name. Yeah, that was terrible. I really liked using my fake name on YouTube. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't. I used my full name with middle initial. I was the weirdo.
Yeah, you were. You were just being radical. Oh, Good stuff. You guys have yourself a wonderful night. We'll be back again with our schedule and changes for summer. We have an interview show that'll be going up at 10 o'clock Eastern Monday morning. Then we'll be back Monday night at 10 o'clock, and then we'll be back for our Tuesday night show. So have yourself
Montag Morgen for those of you in Germany. I'm sorry.
That's true. That's good.
Tired.
You guys have a great evening. Good night, everyone.